All right, welcome everyone. My name is Brendan Lowe. Thank you so much for being here. I'm the creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. This is going to be the planning session part 2 to my 3-part 2024 planning workshop. Now, as always, just going to check the tech here. Make sure everyone, can hear me okay. So if you can, just put yes in the chat. Yes, I can hear you, anything like that. What we're going to be working on today, one sec. I'll fix my mic there. What we're going to be working on today is going to be practice exercises. So if you checked out planning session number 1 that I did last Friday, essentially I was going over the plan, right? Choosing your goal and picking out of one of the 3 goals I told you was your homework, right? So goal number 1, to play in a band or comp. Goal number 2 would be to essentially play solo piano. And then goal number 3 would be to improvise and, do all that good, that fun stuff. So those are in order. All of those are in order from easiest to most difficult. Again, easiest to most difficult. So the easiest is comping, playing in a band. And I talked about purpose, right? Second most difficult is solo piano. Third most difficult thing, or the most difficult thing, I should say, improvisation. All right, so looks like we're rolling here. And people are saying, yes, they can hear me. That's great. I put the link to the workbook. If you don't have the workbook, you definitely want to go get the workbook. Hey, Eric. Hey, Umberto. Click on that link at the top, and that will bring you to the workbook. You can download it. And again, you can use this for your planning session for 2024. All right. So I also talked about purpose and really diving into what is driving you to learn jazz piano, right? It's not enough to just say, okay, I want to sit down at the piano. I want to learn how to play jazz piano, but why, right? Why are you learning voicings? Why do you want to be able to improvise? Why do you want to be able to play ballads? Because it's really the why that's going to inspire you. It's going to motivate you, and it's going to carry you forward when you don't feel like practicing, when you don't feel like sitting down at the piano, when you're getting frustrated, discouraged, and you think you're not good enough or you will never be able to get there. You got to remember that why, because it'll carry you through those times. And I promise you, if you keep going, you will reach your goal. All right? You will reach your goal. I promise you. So, we're going to dive into the practice exercises. Hopefully everyone got the workbook and they wrote in their goal. That was the homework assignment for last time. And so what I'm going to give you today is, again, go over the practice exercises just in 1 second. And then I'm going to have you write down the exercises that you need to start to work on your goal for 2024. All right. Now, before I get started, just quick little note, housekeeping. The Jazz Piano School annual holiday New Year's sale is open, again, on all types of education. So if you're a member, even if you're a non-member, you can go in there. You can click the link, jazzpianoschool.com/holiday, and get access to all the different types of education for different discounts and deals on anything. You can bundle anything. You can pick up one small course. Also, the Accelerator program is open. So the Accelerator program is open for enrollment. This is essentially the highest private customized program that I run with personal students. My educators run them as well. Altogether, it's a 90-day program. If you want the top echelon training and education from us, then that is going to be the program for you. That's also on sale at a huge discount, and you can find that on the holiday page if you're interested in more information about that as well. Go to jazzpianoschool.com/holiday. You can just scroll through the page, watch the video, all the information you need on all the products, courses, memberships, stuff like that is there. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to go through the goals, and I'm going to go through the practice exercises. In your workbook, the very last page of the workbook is going to give you an area that's going to allow you to write down the practice exercises. Okay? It's going to allow you to write down the practice exercises. And as I walk you through the exercises, then you'll be able to write them down. Now, one real quick thing is that I really want you to let me start over. The best way to learn jazz piano is really without music. So as you're practicing the exercises and tools, learning these is really going to be the best thing. I'm just going to switch back for a second. Is going to be the best thing for you without music, because you're actually conceptualizing the tool. You're conceptualizing what its purpose is, how it works, and you're not handcuffed or anchored to the music, right? So many students go to practice something and they're reading notation. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like if you need it up front, no problem. But if you can learn the exercise the way I'm going to show you here, conceptually understand it, understand what you're using it for, right? Why are you practicing this? Like, what is the purpose of this exercise? Oh, it's to get good at this tool so that I can then go and use this tool in any tune in this way. You know exactly what your purpose is. You know exactly why you're practicing it. And you know if the tool isn't good enough or up to a certain expectation, then you're not going to be able to do that when you go play tunes, right? So just a little quick tip there. So let's go over comping. And again, I'm going to go through the zones rather quickly and show you the exercises, basic exercises that, again, will cover the 99% of all students. So the lower end version, if your goal for 2024 in any four of the quarters, right? Quarter 1, 2, 3, or 4 is to accompany a singer, vocal instrumentalist, a group sing along, comp in a band, any sort of group playing. This is what you're going to need. Your rootless voicings is going to be first. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you your rootless voicings here rather quickly. Your rootless voicings are going to be 3, 5, 7, 9 of your minor 7 chord. So here's my D minor 7 chord. I'm going to take 3, 5, 7, 9 of this chord. That's going to be my rootless voicing right there. Now, as I move through a 2, 5, 1, a couple things are going to happen. So we're learning 3 voicings for 2, 5, 1. We're learning a minor 7 voicing. We're learning a dominant 7 voicing. And we're learning a major 7 voicing. Okay? So our dominant 7, 7, 9, 3, 13. Now this is based off of our G7 chord. Here's our dominant chord. So we're taking the 7, we're taking the 9, we're taking the 3, and we're taking the 13, also known as the 6. That's going to be our voicing there. And then our voicing here, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, let me do that just a little slower. 3, 5, 7, 9. Here's our C major 7, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay? Are you all with me up to this point? A lot of people know their rootless voicings, kind of, but you really need to know them like the back of your hand. And again, what we're going to practice here is our rootless voicings through our 2, 5, 1s, left hand bass note, right hand chord. We're going to go to the dominant, then we're going to go to the major 7. Just like that. The first step to practicing this is without a metronome, just learning the notes. Then I'd go to my new key. Okay? Now, a lot of you have probably heard me say this over and over and over again, right? You've probably heard me teach this a lot, but it's very, very important. I'm going to go over some new tricks and things to help you internalize them because, again, if I am to comp through any tune, 99% of what I'm doing is using rootless voicings. Beautiful tune, A Child is Born. If I were to comp through A Child is Born, Thad Jones tune, kind of a Christmassy song, right? I would just be using rootless voicing. So I'll just give you a little bit of a demonstration of that. Whoops. Speaker's off. Here we go. So fast. Hold on one sec. Just got to slow this down here. So again, right hand rootless voicings, left hand bass notes. Slow, right? Just rootless voicings. This is all I'm doing. These are minor rootless voicings, which I haven't gone over. all rootless voicings. Okay? So essentially, again, that's all you're doing. And the only thing you need to learn that I want to make it so clear for you all is that if you just learn your rootless voicings, then you can do exactly what I just did at a slow tempo. And it's very, very easy to go and play in a band. But the most difficult thing for students is simply learning them well enough, like I said. So let's go through some more exercises. Once I've kind of gone through the keys, a lot of people say, and by the way, guys, if you have any questions as I'm working through this, just put them in the chat and I'll answer them, all right? A lot of students say, do I need to learn all keys? Well, I mean, yes, you don't have to. But again, if you want to have the complete freedom, like my tagline here says, right, learning freedom, if you want to learn freedom to be able to open up to any tune, working your voicings, these particular voicings through the keys, is the key to that, because it unlocks all the tunes for you, right? So if you practice all the keys, remember, tunes are just chord progressions in different ways, right? Mixes and matches and different types of orders. That's all tunes are. They're not anything else besides that. So essentially, when you're practicing the different chords and different keys, right? You're practicing essentially tunes, because you're going to see these chords in all tunes. So if you know all the chords, then you can play all tunes. I'm going to say that again. If you can play all the chords in any key, then you can play all tunes, right? And this is a big jump forward in my philosophy from a lot of other, different types of ways that people teach, or you might be learning. You might just be learning tune by tune by tune by tune, and you can't play any other tunes. And I used to do that, and that's very discouraging, and it's very difficult because you never really get to play what you want. You never really get to express yourself. So after you go through the keys, put a little bit of a metronome on. So I'd put a metronome on like 60, start to apply some pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the next key. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the next key. So on and so forth, right? And drill them. Now, once you do that, the only real challenge now is learning different types of progressions outside of 2-5-1s, because if you do that enough and you practice it enough, then boom, you can play your 2-5-1s anywhere. These are all rootless voicings, right? But what happens if you have a progression that's not in a 2-5-1, right? Which brings me back to my original point. Tunes are just different orders of chord progressions, right? So not always do you see a 2-5-1. You might see a 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. So how do we practice that? How do we prepare ourselves in our practice, right, throughout the year to be able to accomplish and tackle this progression when we encounter it in tunes, right? Well, what do we have to do? We need to isolate each chord quality. We need to be able to play each chord quality outside of 2-5-1. So I could play a C major 7. Let's say the progression might go to, well, let's say with the 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5. 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. But let's say my progression was something even more random. A 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5 is a pretty common progression. Let's say it was 1, and maybe we go to A flat 7, maybe G flat 7, maybe E7, maybe A major 7, maybe D major 7, right? So these are random chord patterns that you may see in different types of ways, but my focus here, my point is you need to be so comfortable with all of the different qualities of chords. When I say qualities, I mean minor 7s, dominant 7s, major 7s, minor 7 flat 5s, dominant 7s that come after minor 7 flat 5s because they get a different type of extensions. I'm not going to go into all that today. And then minor major chords or some sort of minor 6 chords. There's really only that set of chords. Those chords you need to be so comfortable with that you can go C minor, A flat dominant, right? You could call out any chord, and obviously I can hit the chord and play the rootless voicing. E flat major, okay? E minor, B minor, A major, G dominant, G flat dominant. You see that? So the point you need to get to in order to accomplish goal number 1, accompaniment. Okay, and again, remember, I'm going over the purpose of this exercise. It's not just to learn these voicings. The purpose is so you can accomplish goal number 1, which you wrote down in your planning session. Everything leads to your goal. Your practice now has purpose and drive behind it because you're going forward in a direction towards your goal, right? So the purpose of this is to get them so good that I can comp through any tune in zone number 1. Now, this is one method of my comping strategy, right? I have zone number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, these are methodologies I've created, systems to comp in different areas of the piano, but the practice and direction and purpose behind what you're doing to accomplish goal number 1, it doesn't change. Does that make sense? So here's a practice exercise that you can use to isolate your chords so that you're taking them and working on them outside of a 2-5-1. Now, we go through our circle of force, but we do all minors. We group the qualities of chords together. B flat minor 7, E flat minor 7, A flat minor 7, D flat minor 7, right? Then we do all the dominants. C7. Now again, guys, this information can be found inside of Jazz Piano School, in my courses, my education, the accelerator program, wherever you want. And then working on this, right, practicing it, it's just up to you. So if you don't know these types of voicings and things like that, they're very, they're very readily accessible to get, to learn, right? 3, 13, 7, 9. Then I practice all my dominants, so on and so forth. And then I do all my majors, major. Sorry, my light above my piano keeps shaking for some reason every time major, right? And I just keep working that way. Now, as far as a practicing system goes, you can start to really advance a lot of this by taking it in different ways now. And you can, experiment to your heart's content. At this point, I start to do half steps with a lot of my students. So I'll take a chord, minor 7, I'll do half steps now, up and down. Back down, right? And always do this without a metronome first, and then once you have the notes, then start to play with a metronome, okay? Umberto says, first position rootless voicing is easier for me as the right-hand voicing begins with what in effect is a major set. Yes, exactly, Umberto. Yes, so a lot of people have an easier time with this because this is just an F major 7 root position chord, so we could do that. This is a little bit more difficult, but I do want to give you guys a little trick. A lot of students say the same thing, Umberto. They ask me the same exact question, or like, how can I remember these more quickly? At the root of the chord, each chord is 4 notes. 2 of the notes in every rootless voicing, check it out, are the shells to my chord. Now the shells are the 3rd and 3 and 7 of my root position chord. So essentially I'm doing this. That's 2 of the 4 notes in every single rootless voicing. So if you know your shells, and I would make this a practice exercise for you all as well, because this is going to lead to my next point about playing ballads. Definitely, 200%, you should be able to voice lead your shells through your keys just like this. And isolate each chord quality as well. So do all your minors. Here are all my minor shells. 3 and 7. 3 and 7, F minor. 3 and 7. 3 and 7. Now again, why are we doing this? A lot of students, oh, my teacher made me do all these shell exercises. How did that lead to playing jazz? This is why it's so important for you to understand what this leads to. The first step, shells. This leads to you being able to play rootless voicings easier because you're practicing 2 of the 4 notes. Now, we add in the other 2 notes. It becomes a lot easier because we've already practiced 2 of the 4 notes. Why are we practicing our rootless voicings? So that we can comp over any tune. I can comp over any tune. Wouldn't you like to be able to do this like in a band? Like even this sounds good, even if you just do it in a solo piano way. And I'll give you a little tip. When you're playing solo piano, I use comping strategy 1, zone 1 here, what I'm showing you right now, in a lot of my solo piano playing. So, like Green Dolphin Street, the tune Green Dolphin Street, I'll hit the note, the melody, jump down here to comp. Right, so I'll play up here. Comp, comp. Now, what am I doing here? This is comping strategy 1, and I practice my rootless voicing, so I'm actually integrating that into my solo piano playing. There's overlap. Santiago says, can you define a shell, please? Yes, your shells are the 3rd and 7 of any chord. So if I have a D minor 7 here, we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, here's my 3rd, here's my 7. 3rd, 7. So the 3 and 7 are the shells. We call those the shells because they make up and determine the quality of the chord. If I change one of my shell notes, they're so important. Let's say I sharp it, it changes the whole sound of the chord. That's why they're so important. In Santiago, you can have your shells in different orders. So I would practice them like this.